Hey guys, what is going on? So today I'm going to be doing a stats prediction for some of the key players on this New York Giants team heading into this upcoming season. And the season starts in less than a week and oh my gosh, I'm just so excited but also so nervous. So yeah, let's kick things off with Kenny Golladay here, the big free agent signing this offseason for the Giants. So Golladay, he obviously dealt with an injury last season, didn't play a ton, but 2019 was probably this guy's best season. He had 1,190 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns. And like I said, last year he didn't really play. But this season I am expecting him to have 1,001 receiving yard and 9 touchdowns. So that's my little stat prediction for Kenny Golladay. Also, I just want to note that there's one extra game this year. Like, just remember there's one extra game this year. So the stats probably are going to be a little bit higher because, we have 4 extra quarters of football this upcoming season. So next, let's talk about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, another guy who dealt with injury last year, tore his ACL. He should play this week. No official word yet, but all the reports I have seen have basically said, Saquon, it looks like he's going to play week 1. He might be a little limited in how many snaps he gets. I'm sure they are going to limit how many snaps he gets just because they're playing Thursday night right after the season opener. But 2018, his rookie season, was his best season. He played all 16 games. He had 1,307 rush yards, 11 rushing touchdowns. He had 721 receiving yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. And then in 2019, his sophomore season, he played 13 games and he still had over, 1,000 rushing yards. So this season, I am going to say Saquon Barkley is going to have 1,100 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. I also think he's going to have 621 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. I feel like they're kind of going to use Saquon Barkley a little more in the pass game this year, especially coming off, the knee injury. I feel like they're going to try to, avoid him having to get hit every single play. Running back, it's a position where you're basically getting hit every single play unless you're running out of bounds or scoring a touchdown. But in the pass game, I feel like, there's more of an opportunity for him to, get out of bounds. And I just feel like we're going to see him a lot more in the passing game this year. But like I said, I still expect him to have over 1,000 rushing yards, especially with, the extra game this season. So let's talk about the quarterback, Daniel Jones, one of the most important players on this Giants team, one of the most unpredictable players on this Giants team. It's really a make or break season for him. And if you look at DJ stats from last season, you're probably going to go like, oof, because last season he had 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions with a 62.5 completion percentage. So obviously that touchdown to interception ratio is not great. It's not what you want. It's not good. He did only play 14 games last season because he did deal with an injury for a short little time there towards the end of the season. But his completion percentage actually went up a tiny bit from his rookie season. So his rookie season, his completion percentage was 61.9%. And last season, his sophomore season, it was 62.5%. And also that might be due to the fact they changed offenses last year. And we know Jason Garrett loves to draw up those short little routes, those little 4-yard completions that they threw a lot of last year, probably, helped raise his completion percentage that little bit. Last season, DJ, he also rushed for 423 yards and he had 1 rushing touchdown. And the thing with Daniel Jones last year was he started out the season a little shaky. That Tampa Bay game, he had a really, really bad game, right? Made so many just go like this mistakes, like what are you doing mistakes. But after that, he really seemed to clean up the mistakes, really seemed to clean up the interceptions. So I would say we did see some improvement from Daniel Jones last season. Obviously not as much improvement as you would have liked to see from a quarterback that was picked 6th overall. But I will say, despite the stats being so ugly for last season, towards the end of the season, you did kind of see this guy improve with his decision making and just kind of, his awareness in the pocket. But it could still get better. It could still get a lot better. I just want to say that. There's still a ton of room for improvement. So this season, with the addition of Kenny Golladay, with the addition of Kadarius Toney, with the addition of Kyle Rudolph. I'm expecting Daniel Jones to take another step because honestly, he has to take another step or he's not going to be the quarterback of the New York Giants next season. So this season, I am expecting Daniel Jones to throw for 4,008 yards, 28 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. I'm also expecting him to have 365 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. So I know you might be saying, wow, that's a lot of passing yards for Daniel Jones, and that's a lot more touchdowns for Daniel Jones than what he threw last season. More than double. But remember, his rookie season, he played in just 13 games. He had 3,027 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. So he was airing the ball out a lot more his rookie season when, they were playing in that Pat Shurmur offense. Yeah, this season, I'm expecting him to have his career high, I guess you could say, in interceptions by 2 interceptions, but he's also throwing 28 touchdowns, and that's what I want to see from the Giants. I want to see them let Daniel Jones air it out because he does have a nice deep ball. So I want to see them, let him throw it down the field. Let him throw it down the field to Kenny Golladay. And I would be happy with these numbers. 4,000, that might be a little high for the passing yards. I was expecting, anywhere from like 3,800 to 4,000, but I went with 4,000 because, there's that extra game this season. And yeah, this is a kind of optimistic prediction, but I'm gonna go with it. I really am. 28 touchdowns isn't a ton. That's not a ton of touchdowns, but it's way more than last season. And with Saquon Barkley also getting 10 rushing touchdowns, I'm sure Booker's gonna get some rushing touchdowns. That's why I went with 28 touchdowns. But hopefully Daniel Jones has a good year. I mean, so much is gonna come down to Daniel Jones playing well with this Giants team. If Daniel Jones plays well, this is a playoff team. If he doesn't play well, this isn't a playoff team. And yeah, we gotta hope for the best with Daniel Jones. So let's move over to the defense here. Let's start off with James Bradberry. This season, I am predicting him to have 5 interceptions and 1 pick six. The past 2 seasons, he had 3 interceptions in each. And I also think he's gonna have 50 combined tackles this year. James Bradberry was just amazing last year. He's such an underrated cornerback in this league. I feel like he might get a little bit more thrown his way because the Giants also added Adoree Jackson this offseason. So, quarterbacks aren't going to be just trying to throw to, that cornerback 2 spot and try to go after that cornerback 2 because the cornerback 2 spot was a weakness for the Giants last season. So I think Bradberry might see, a little bit more balls thrown his way, which will give him the opportunity to get some more interceptions, and we know Bradberry can get those interceptions. Let's move over to Leonard Williams now. Crazy season last year, 11.5 sacks, 30 quarterback hits, 57 combined tackles. I think Leonard Williams is going to not play as well as last year, statistically wise, but I still think he's going to have a big impact on this offense. I don't think he's going to put up as big of numbers as he did last year, not because he's going to play worse, but because, the Giants are probably going to have a better pass rush this season. Lorenzo Carter is coming back. They drafted Azeez Ojulari in the 2nd round. I think Leonard Williams is just going to have, more help. He's not going to have to do so much by himself. So I'm predicting 9.5 sacks for Leonard Williams this season, 62 combined tackles, and 28 quarterback hits. So yes, that's 2 less sacks, but that's a great number still. 9.5 sacks for him is still a great number. And yeah, if he doesn't get 11.5 sacks this year, there's no reason to freak out. There's no reason to think the Giants overpaid him or anything like that. I just think other players are going to be making plays more often on the defense this year. The defense did get better this offseason. Maybe they lost a little bit of depth, but the defense did get better. So let's wrap things up with Blake Martinez here. I could have talked about more players in this video on defense, but I just didn't want this video to go on forever, so I just chose these 3 guys. So Blake Martinez, I'm predicting him to have 4 sacks this season. That's 1 more than last year. I think he's going to have 160 combined tackles, and I think he's going to have 2 interceptions. That's 1 more interception than last year. We saw him play really, really well in coverage in that preseason game versus the Patriots. He had that crazy interception. It was just like crazy. It was like, what a crazy play. What a great play. from Blake Martinez that was. So I said, you know, let's give him one more interception this year. Let's predict one more interception. So that is it for this video, guys. Make sure you drop a like, comment down below, let me know your stat predictions for this upcoming season, and subscribe. Peace.